This is the Doctor, President-elect of the High Council of Time Lords.
I am definitely a madman with a box.
Anyone for jelly, baby?
I'm the Doctor. I'm 904 years old. I'm from the planet Gallifrey in the constellation of Castobrius.
Hey Who fans, and welcome to the Big Blue Box podcast. My name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And we're at episode 68.
Woohoo!
I love your little woohoos.
Woohoo!
Off the episode number. It's like a little mini victory.
I'll have to go crazy when we get to 100, won't I? I'll have to really woohoo it.
Oh wow, yeah. What are we going to do for that?
I don't know.
Well, I don't know. Could just be a...
Could be an explosion.
It could be 3 whoops in a row.
I want that. Maybe the fire crack from the end of Peter Davison's theme. That.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Line that one up.
That'd be great.
What a week it's been, eh?
What a week, indeed.
Wow.
So, hoping you guys have had a fantastic week, as always. And we've got an interesting review coming up for Hellbent. We were expecting mainly positive stuff from you guys before you watched it, and now it's turned into a complete and utter mixed bag of just all sorts. So it's going to be a good one.
It is going to be good, yeah. I expected it to be mixed, to be honest with you, but the things I thought people would be going mad about are not the things people are going mad about. It's really unusual, but yeah, we'll get to it in the review. But there was bits in there I thought were really going to, destroy the internet that happened.
That's the thing with Doctor Who and other stuff as well. Mainly I found Doctor Who and Star Wars this year. When there's been like an announcement that goes out, or there's been like an episode of Doctor Who or something, you can tell that the fans are just they go at it in numbers because it breaks the internet. It just goes ballistic.
Yeah,
and we had that with most of the episodes really. This series, we've had hashtags that have been like the #1 trend on Twitter for the UK, and all sorts. So yeah, it's really cool.
And also, a lot of people have been another comparison between Star Wars and Doctor Who that fans have been saying is that too much has been given away. Like I saw a lot of people moaning about the amount of Star Wars trailers saying, we don't want to see half the film before it's out. You know what I mean? Stop saying, and I think that people have been the same with Doctor Who. It's like, that there's already been 1 billion pictures of the Christmas special. It's like, I feel like I've already seen it.
Yeah, that's always a danger, isn't it? And I think I think that the BBC and some of these movie studios are to blame as well. I'm absolutely certain of it because the most recent one that I can think of with Who is the Christmas special promo pic that the BBC put out. And it showed the new Sonic before the Doctor had even, got it in his hands at the end of Hellbent. Yeah,
I know, yeah. So, I actually was really surprised about that. I mean, to show it before the episode's aired, it's pretty shocking, actually.
Because it's not like, it's not something very insignificant. I mean, the Doctor getting a brand new Sonic is, in terms of the show and Who and stuff, is quite a big thing. Yeah, because a lot of people, if you can think about the amount of discussion that's gone on this series about Sonic's shades versus the Sonic screwdriver and all that stuff, it's quite an important thing. And you wouldn't just... I'm very surprised, like you are, that the BBC just willy-nilly plopped it in that promo pic and didn't say anything. I'm just surprised that they put it out there in the first place.
Yeah, me too. Especially, like I said, it was like a few days before the actual episode aired. So, I mean, even if it had been the following week, so that we had seen it on screen first. But, so yeah, just put it out there. I know. I thought the same thing. I have to say, I having seen more pictures of that Sonic, I'm loving it. I wasn't too sure when we saw it in the episode because we only get a brief glimpse of it sort of lighting up, don't we?
Yeah.
And I thought it looked a bit naff, actually. I was a bit like, I'm not sure about that. But then I saw the whole thing, like a photo online of it. And Rubbertoe are going to do their replica of it.
They are,
and it really does look nice. I mean, when you see the whole Sonic, it's really nice. I love the silver and blue, or is it gold and blue or silver and blue?
Silver and blue, yeah.
Silver and blue, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's nice. It's a little bit busy, I have to say. It's got, I don't know, I think maybe it could have been better if it was simplified, but I do think it's a really nice Sonic, and I bet Peter's glad, because I think he's wanted one since he started.
Yeah, he must have been like a little kid when because that must have been coming up. He must have been told about that, like, you're going to get your own Sonic at the end of the series. Yeah. And he must have been just like a little kid waiting for Christmas morning. I'm just assuming anyway, because I just get that feeling about him, because he's such a huge Who fan, and he must have had his favourites from over the years. Yeah, to get his own one would have been really cool. So, but it does look really good. I love the look of it.
Yeah, I do. As I say, now I've seen the actual proper thing. I do as well.
Sure.
Have you seen that video of him with it?
Yes.
Sort of introducing it, if you like. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which, like you said, I think he is pretty made up. Yeah.
Yeah, and we might have seen the end of the Sonic Shades as well, which wouldn't be a bad thing.
It wouldn't be a bad thing, yeah. I mean, they were beginning to do my head in after about 2 episodes. So it's just, the thing is, I think a bit like the Sonic. I think if they were just used a bit less, I probably wouldn't mind. Like if we'd seen the Sonic Shades, every now and again or whatever, then absolutely fine. I think it's just the fact that every 2 minutes they sort of kept getting the shades out that I dislike them so much. You know what I mean? I didn't really have too much problem with them as the in themselves, if you like. Just they were just overused, which is quite a common thing in Doctor Who at the moment with things, isn't it? Like you think about Matt Smith with the Sonic, because I love the Sonic Screwdriver, but even I was sick of it in the Matt Smith era.
Yeah,
so
it did make quite the appearance a number of times, didn't it?
Yeah, it's always being waved around.
Yeah. But yeah, I think as long as they keep it under control, because I think I remember back to one of the behind the scenes videos from the David Tennant era, and I remember somebody saying to him about the Sonic Screwdriver, and there was one of the stories where Russell T Davies had wrote in this quite ridiculous thing about the Sonic Screwdriver kind of having a mind of its own and flying around and locating the Doctor to help him out and stuff, and I'm pretty sure David Tennant said, we can't do this.
Right.
This is just completely ridiculous. We can't rely on the Sonic Screwdriver every episode. It's becoming a crutch, for the Doctor, and that's not the case. So, you can see that it's been written in the past, like you say, with the Matt Smith era. It was there all the time.
Yeah.
So long as they keep it under, keep a leash on it, should be all right. But it does look really good.
I think Tennant's onto a thing there. And the other thing is, though, you just said at least we've seen the end of Sonic Shades, and everybody seems to be assuming that. But I'm not convinced. I'm thinking just because the Doctor's got a new Sonic, I don't think that automatically means we've seen the last of the Shades, unfortunately, which kind of means that the Doctor's turning a bit into Inspector Gadget, because he's just going to be having all this stuff. But we'll see. We'll see where it goes. But I'm glad he's got one anyway.
Indeed. What have you been up to, mate?
What have I been up to? I've been watching a little bit of the Horror Channel this week. They were showing the Android Invasion, which was fun. It's a funny story. That it's not the best, but I like it for sentimental reasons. I was driving my other half mad going, oh, I've been there, been in that pub, and it's like, yeah, I know, I was there, and all that sort of thing. So yeah, I've been watching a bit of that. I caved in and bought the Confession Dial from Rubbertoe, which
I saw,
got me into a lot of trouble. But because of the price of it. Well, I asked Santa for it, and it turns out that I haven't been good enough to get it this year.
Oh, what?
So it wasn't going to be under the tree, and I kept looking at it, so I just bought it. I have to say it's blimmin' gorgeous. I don't regret buying it at all. I absolutely love it.
That was from Rubbertoe, right?
That's from Rubbertoe, yeah.
Their stuff is so good.
I'm loving it. I'm a little bit hooked on them at the minute, because I know you bought the Siege Mode TARDIS at the festival. And I really want that as well, and I'm thinking that might be something to get in the new year. So
of course,
I'm loving the Rubbertoe stuff. They're going to be doing a replica of the new 12th Doctor Sonic. I have a feeling this might be a little out of my price range though, because the 11th Doctor Sonic that they've done a replica of is £659.
Yeah.
before postage and VAT. So you're looking at about 700 quid for that. So I'm thinking if they do the 12th Doctor Sonic and it's around that price, as much as I love it, I don't think I'm going to be getting one of those.
Yeah, that is a bit. We might have to wait for the Toys R Us exclusive that's like 15 quid or something.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah, it has to be a character options version.
Unless they do another TV remote. They're normally pretty good.
They are good. I was having this discussion actually with a friend yesterday because we were talking about this, and I was saying I haven't seen the two together to compare, because I mean the TV remote of the 11th Doctor Sonic is really good, although they called it the 12th Doctor with the open one, but it's really good, the TV remote, and I can't imagine. We were saying is the replica £600 worth better? So I was saying I've never seen the two together to compare, but it would have to be phenomenal to be better than the TV remote, because the TV remote looks brilliant.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if they do one of the 12th Doctor Sonic, the new one, TV remote would be good, and it's useful.
Indeed, it's got two uses. It's a prop to take with you on the old cosplay.
Yeah.
And it can control your TV. It's genius.
It is genius, because you've got the 10th Doctor one as well, haven't you, which is great.
Yes, love it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really nice. Yeah.
I don't use it as much as I should as a TV remote, though, admittedly.
I don't either, actually. I just like using the sound effects on it. I don't think I haven't even set mine up. So I just kind of just on display, and I just sort of occasionally pick it up and press a few buttons and stuff, and that's it, really.
I set it up initially when I first got it, and then like a buffoon, when I was playing with it on the sofa, the TV's going nuts.
Oh, really?
So I'm like, yeah, I should probably put this away now. But no,
I love things that have actually got a use, though. It's like somewhere I've got a sonic screwdriver that is actually a screwdriver. So you take the lid off, and it's got all the screwdriver heads inside it. And
cool.
I love that. I just think, so it is actually a real sonic screwdriver. I really like that.
You want your money's worth.
Yeah, I just think it's cool if they got a little extra thing to them, if you know what I mean. Because like the confession dial's lovely and it looks great on the shelf, but it does, there's no hidden castle in there or anything that I've discovered. Yeah, it doesn't do anything, but it just looks nice.
Yeah, there's no you can't jump inside it and
no, it would be handy. It would be handy to be able to disappear inside it sometimes, especially when it arrived. And how much? It would have been great if I could have just jumped inside it, but no, sadly not.
Sadly not. Yes.
What have you been up to, buddy?
What have I got up to? I finished off Jago Lightfoot and Strax from Big Finish.
Oh, yeah. Good.
It's really good, yeah. I think it's one of those stories that's probably not going to rank too highly on people's like top 10s, but
really?
Well, there's just so many other stories that are probably better.
Okay.
However, it's still really good, and it's really funny as well.
Yeah.
Dan Starkey's he's so good. It seems to be the thing with Big Finish. When you have actors from the show, they just seem to, I don't know, they just seem to let their character out a little bit more on Big Finish. I'm not sure if it's because there's no pressure of cameras and stuff and they can, I'm not sure, but yeah, he's just so good. He's really good. And the two old guys, Jago and Lightfoot, they're just as they were from Talons. It's I really do need to check out their other, because I wasn't aware they'd done so much of Big Finish. I think they've got like 10 box sets already.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I need to get some of those. But yeah, it's really good.
I've heard they're really good, actually, the Jago, because that's bizarrely, I haven't got any of considering how much Big Finish I've got, I haven't got any of the Jago and Lightfoot box sets, and apparently they are so good, and I kind of it's simply because I've just got so much I need to listen to already that I kind of can't really keep buying more, if you know what I mean, until I've listened to what I've got. But I've heard they're brilliant, and at some point I would love to get them, and like you just said, I didn't realise they'd done so many already, so yeah, I
thought they'd only done a couple of box sets, but yeah, apparently they've got 10 available, so I'll have to get some of those. But yeah, highly recommended this one. It's a very good story, and it's very funny. Yeah, also been checking out, I'm still trying to hunt down, talking to Big Finish actually, there's a really good story that's super cheap out at the moment. It's the 8th Doctor story, The Chimes of Midnight.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Which is a cracking story, perfect this time of year as well, because it's set at Christmas. $2.99.
can't recommend that enough. It's a great story, that.
Yeah, well, I'll stick a link to that in the show notes. But yeah, if you haven't got that one, especially as well, if you're looking to get into Big Finish, and you especially want to check out the 8th Doctor stuff, the Paul McGann ones, that's a really good one. It's like a nice isolated little story, bit creepy, bit sinister, but he's just fantastic in it. So yeah, £3, you can't go wrong.
Can't go wrong.
Yeah,
I was thinking actually it might be because obviously after the Christmas special we don't know when Doctor will be back on our screen, so I've got a feeling we're going to be falling back on Big Finish a bit. I don't know about you, to sort of get us through the Doctor Who drought. I'm thinking that might be a good time to catch up on some Big Finish stuff and get some of the new ones, and while we're waiting for Doctor Who to come back on the screens.
Yeah, the dark times.
Well, I think the 10th Doctor and Donna are out next year, aren't they? So that would be great. That would be great to sort of fill in a bit of the gap.
Of course, that'll be actually, let us know, guys, if you want us, because we have had quite a few requests over the last year, I suppose, for us to do reviews of Big Finish. But if it's something that you want us to do, if you really want to hear some reviews from us on Big Finish, do let us know. And man, we'll consider it after in the new year. I don't see why not.
Yeah.
And then just lastly, if anyone can help me out, I'm still trying to hunt down this 10th Doctor Funko Pop exclusive, the glow in the dark. I've been looking for it on both Forbidden Planets and some other bits, but I can only find it on the US, like ThinkGeek and stuff like that. So if you can find me a link anywhere, guys, for a UK stockist, I would really appreciate it.
Yeah, it looks good, isn't it? Doesn't it? Yeah.
All about the exclusives at the moment.
Yes. Yeah, I've got to cut back. I've decided I'm only going to get the Doctor Who ones now because when I was clearing up,
liar.
No, I've got to. It's just the Funkos are kind of taken over my shelf, and I think I was saying in the last podcast, I kind of realised that I hadn't got much Doctor Who on there anymore, and I was thinking this isn't right. So the Funkos have kind of gone on into their own little space in another room, and I'm just going to get the Doctor Who ones from now on. So I'm kind of like you. I'm all about the exclusives now.
Yes. So please help me out, because you guys did that the last 2 times for me. You're like, guys, have you seen this? I'm like, whoa, get that ordered. So
yeah, you got to be quick off the mark on these ones.
Yeah, indeed. So that's me, mate. Not too much else. And also thinking about what you mentioned actually a little while ago about what to do after the Christmas special, because we are going to go through. There's obviously tons of Classic Who that we still need to do. So yeah, I'm just thinking about what stuff to do. And also we've got next year at some point, this is a bit of an exclusive actually for the podcast. Next year at some point, we're going to be doing like a very short audio story, which we'll reveal some more on probably in January. But yeah, just a tiny nugget there for you. That's going to be coming up at some point, 2016.
It's going to be fun.
It's going to be cool. Yep.
I was just thinking we're not going to get a trailer at the end of the special, are we? For normally, at the end of Christmas special, we sort of get a trailer for the next series, or coming soon and stuff. And we won't get one this year because they haven't started filming or anything yet, have they?
No, I'm pretty sure they haven't started yet.
So it's just going to end. That's going to be a bit strange. It's just going to end credits roll and that'll be it. It will be odd.
It'll probably be the standard Doctor Who will return in 2016.
Yeah,
it's kind of message. But I think it's not coming back. Is it 11 months time?
It's going to be a bit of a wait. Yeah,
something like
as I say, they haven't even started filming yet. So
just under a year. I think it's November, December. It's coming back.
Yeah.
So
I've already got quite a lot of classics. So I started doing a little list. Actually, I love doing lists. I did doing a little list the other day of classics I want to do for you next year.
Okay, yep.
And I'm very excited about some of them. Actually, I was thinking, this is a cracker, and I was thinking about ones that we'd been asked to do before the new series kicked off as well. And got some. Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting back into the classics next year. Like you said, while we're waiting for New Who.
Absolutely, mate. We can't forget about the classic stuff.
No.
Of course not.
No way.
So waffle is done. Mm-hmm. I reckon we should land this sexy one.
Yeah, let's get into a bit of news.
first up, this is quite a good feel-good story, this one. And just to give you guys a really quick update, if you haven't been following this story on Twitter or various blogs, it revolves around a Doctor Who fan called Daniel, who's really, really sick in hospital at the moment. And it's a very similar story to, there was a very similar thing for Star Wars a few months ago. Admittedly, not quite as severe as that, but it's this whole thing about when you've got someone really sick who's a big fan of something, and all it takes is just a couple of people just to kind of get behind this idea to really, make this fans, time a lot more easier while they're going through, this illness and so on. And it was primarily led by our good friend Martin from the Bad Wolf podcast. And in conjunction with the website Geek Syndicate, they basically, it was, so this young fan, Daniel, he really wanted to go to the festival this year. But unfortunately, because he was so ill, he was just, confined to his bed in hospital. He couldn't go. So they started this campaign to try and get, as many, I think as many people who had starred in the show to go and visit him and basically just cheer him up. And it all started around this. They put out this hashtag. It was Doctor Who Daniel, and it's done absolutely brilliantly. It started out that it started quite slow, but then we saw like these updates coming through from Martin and these other people, and he's had visits. He had a visit from Tracy Norton, who turned up, and she had a few bits for him. But then recently we had pictures come up that Peter Capaldi had been there.
Yes.
Which is fantastic. And you can see just how overwhelmed and how happy Daniel is to get a visit from Peter. And he didn't just turn up to give him a visit. He turned up in character, dressed up as the Doctor, which is just so good. That is so good. And if you look on, and it's gone really crazy as well. It's on Radio Times and loads of other news blogs. And there's a couple of videos that have been posted as well of Capaldi turning up with his sonic shades and having a real laugh with him and stuff like that. So it's just a fantastic sort of feel-good story, really, that all of the fan base for Doctor Who and the whole Who-universe can kind of get together and push this, and then it gets into the, it gets put in front of the people at the BBC and people like Capaldi, and they can do something to make Daniel's day, really, and it's just brilliant.
It is brilliant, yeah. That I was going to say, that moment you talked about. I mean, I've seen the picture on Twitter of when Peter walks in the room and Daniel's face. I mean, it just that picture itself is just wonderful. Like, Daniel's face is just lit up, isn't he? Seeing him, and especially as he's in character as well. Like you said, he's in the Doctor's outfit. And kudos to Martin from Bad Wolf for getting it out there. And this is one of the good things about social media sites like Twitter. Is being able to sort of spread the word on this. And get it out there, because I think as well as Capaldi and what's the character that woman plays? I can never.
Yeah, sorry, it was Frances Barber, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Sorry, not Tracy Norton. Yeah, so Frances Barber, she was Madame Kavarian.
Kavarian, yeah, I can never think of the name, Madame Kavarian. And also Stephen Moffat did a little video clip for him. Have you seen that?
Yep, Stephen Moffat. Yep.
Yeah, and I think they've they put it out there to try and get some other people on board as well, some of the classic Doctors. And, as I say, it's one of the good things about Twitter. It does allow these things to get out there, and it's brilliant, what they've achieved. So
it's very, very cool. Yeah. It's
such a worthy thing. Yeah, it's brilliant. And Peter's just, it's just great, isn't it, that he does these sort of things. He's such an ambassador. Is that the right thing for the show? He's just so
an ambassador. Yeah, he is.
Yeah. I just think he's so good. I mean, I've said it before on previous podcasts about the, how great he is with fans and stuff. But yeah, it's just brilliant.
It's really cool, because he did the same thing with the Peter Jackson video that we talked about a couple of weeks ago, where he turned up in character again in New Zealand and did that whole thing. So it's really good. So. Huge thanks to Martin at Bad Wolf and the guys over at Geek Syndicate for making it happen, because if they didn't start it, and didn't get that word, spreading around and, the hashtag going viral and stuff, then none of this would have happened. So, huge props to those guys. And what we're going to contribute a little bit as well. So we were going to run a competition today for a book that's literally just come out in the last couple of weeks. It's called Whoniverse by Lance Parkin. And it's got a very long subtitle, an unofficial planet-by-planet guide to the worlds of Doctor Who from Gallifrey to Skaro. And it's such a great book. It's quite a thick book as well. It's got loads in there, and it's basically like a scientific breakdown of all of the planets and locations and everything in the Doctor Who universe. So we were going to give that away as a competition, but we're going to donate that to Daniel. Yeah. So we're going to send that out, and we're going to put some other little Who bits in there as well. So that's just our way, really, of contributing, because I can't do anything else, really. So we're going to send him a cool little package.
Yeah, and we do wish Daniel all the best as well. Hope this has managed to put a smile on his face as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, it certainly looks like it did, which is great.
Nice one.
Right, in other news, Ninth Doctor fans rejoice because they're doing more Titan comics of the Ninth Doctor with Rose and Captain Jack. And I think it's almost as if they did a trial. It's weird, isn't it? It's almost as if they weren't sure. We'll do like a 5 mini-part series and just see how well they sell. And obviously they've done really well, because they're now going to be a monthly thing from Titan, an ongoing series. Mm-hmm. So these are coming out in April next year, and as I say, they're going to be monthly comics. Strange things about these is that we didn't think we were going to be able to get these when they first come out, did we? We thought they were like a US thing. They're actually, they're not sort of officially available in the UK, but they are easy enough to get. I mean, Forbidden Planet sell them on their website, so and lots of other places. But yeah, they're not hard to get, although they're not sort of you won't find them in your local newsagents or Smiths. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, that's actually kind of strange, because I remember in the run up to Titan releasing these comics, and there was that statement, wasn't there, on their website saying that you could buy them. You could buy them in all these comic book shops, and it was all based in America. But the only way that you could buy them in the UK was the digital version.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
but that doesn't seem to mean anything, because you can go into Forbidden Planet or quite a few other comic book shops, and they're on the shelves like the day after they've been released in the US. So, yeah, I'm not sure how that's because the comic book industry works on one of its best business models for UK shops anyway is the import thing. So it's kind of weird how they not enforced it, but they made quite an important announcement about that in the run up to it. And now it seems that everyone can get them wherever you go. It's weird.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it's because they do that comic, which you can get in, like a UK version where they sort of put them all, they sort of congeal them all into one. And it's like a monthly thing. It's not a fortnightly. I forget now.
No, you can get the trade paperbacks or the graphic novel collections, whatever. Yeah.
No, I'm thinking of the, what's it called? It's just the Doctor Who comic. Like at the minute, it's got like because they're quite behind. So that's the problem. It's kind of like it's almost as if they've repressed them but put 3 issues into one. So for example, this issue that's out now has got like the 3 Doctors on the front.
Oh, I see. Right. Yes.
So they kind of do that, and I wonder if at the beginning they thought because they were going to clash that they were going to concentrate the UK market on those. And I don't know, maybe they just sold so well on import that they thought, nah, do you know what? Forget it. And just kind of, yeah. But I think maybe that might be why, because I think perhaps they were just thinking it might impact on the sales of the sort of UK version of it, if you like.
Yeah, possibly.
But they're not as nice. I mean, I love these Titan comic, the import ones. They are like proper comics, whereas the other thing is like a sort of magazine, and the quality is not as good, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I think that's called the 4 Doctors.
That's the one. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean though. The only one thing the only downside to these single issue comics, and it's not a negative thing, just that you end up spending so much bloody money because they have so many cool variant covers.
Yeah.
You end up buying 5 or 6 issues of the same damn issue.
I know. I was
Other
just
than
about to
that,
say, why
yeah.
do they do that? But of course they do it because of the money. But yeah, I know, because some of the covers are brilliant as well, aren't they? It's like you sort of think, well, because most people think, well, I'll just get the one you like best. And you think, yeah, that in theory, that's good. But then you see all these brilliant covers and you're like, oh, I like that variant. I might get that, So it's a bit of it's a bit naughty. It's a little bit cheeky.
Well, you and I are guilty of it.
Yeah.
We went into Forbidden Planet. I think it was the day we were in London the day before the festival. We were like, let's go and do some shopping around. We went to Forbidden Planet, and we did the same thing. We went down to the downstairs where all the comics are. I looked at the Doctor Who section, and immediately I saw this variant comic for the Ninth Doctor. Picked it up, even though I knew full well that I've already got 2 versions of it at home. I just bought it, so they're not stupid.
No, they're not stupid. No,
Not at all. Yeah.
I did the same, didn't I, with the Eighth Doctor? I was like, there was a cover that I hadn't seen, and then I was in turmoil because I couldn't get signal on my phone. I was thinking, I don't know if I've got it. I don't know if I've back ordered it. Should I get it and all that sort of thing? And I did get it, and actually, it wasn't one that I'd pre-ordered or anything, so I was pleased because I thought I was going to end up with 2 of them. But yeah, I know it's the same thing. I was thinking, do I need another variant of issue 5?
No, I know what you mean. So that's good news, though. A regular run for the Ninth Doctor on the way.
Yes.
When was it? April next year?
April, I believe. Yeah, it's 2016. Gosh.
Nice one.
Yeah.
Last up in the news, sticking with the subject of good reads. Yeah. So those fans of Ashilda or me, take your pick, will be very glad to know that yesterday, if you're listening to this on the Friday the 11th, that it goes out yesterday the 10th, BBC Books released a new book, Doctor Who: The Legends of Ashilda. Never before told stories of the woman who lived. 10,000 hours is all it takes to master any skill. 20,000 and you're best in the world. Over 100,000 and you're the best there's ever been. Which I'm sure is a quote that she said from one of the episodes of this series. But
yeah,
yes. So I mean, so it's basically a collection of stories written by James Goss, Jenny Colgan, David Llewellyn, and Justin Richards. James Goss has written a couple of stories for Who already. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you're fans of Ashilda, this is probably one to pick up. If you're not fans of Ashilda or me, then not me, but me, as in her.
Yeah. It's confusing, isn't it?
Then it might be one to swerve around quite drastically. I know.
How much is this?
It doesn't say. I think it might be. I'm not sure. I think it could be around £12,
right?
Something like that. But yeah, it's a hardback, so it's probably 12 between 12 and 15 quid, I would say. But yeah, that's the thing. Ashilda is very much a prominent figure in the new Doctor Who universe. Thank you, Mr. Moffat.
I have to say, I'm laughing because I honestly thought when I saw a picture of this on Facebook the other day, I honestly thought it was fake. I thought it was like one of these fan mock-up things because like nothing had been announced about it before, so it just popped up and said it was coming out. And I thought I was, a fan of, because Ashilda's got fans out there. I thought, someone's mocked this up and whatever. So I was actually genuinely surprised when it turns out that this is a real thing.
Yeah.
But laughing aside, and I'm sure people out there will lap it up. James Goss, I mean, he's a good writer. Okay, so that's one positive. I mean, this isn't something for me. I have to be honest with you. It's not something I'm going to get. But James Goss is good, so that's a positive. But I'm wondering, will it? Because she was sort of out there looking out for the Doctor. So I wonder, will it feature? Will there be? Will the 12th Doctor feature in this as well, I wonder? Because that might intrigue me a bit more to give it a go. If she's like, if he's going to be in there as well. Or is it just going to be about Ashilda, do you think?
I think it will just be Ashilda.
Right, okay.
Yeah, if we read up a little bit on it, the synopsis, if you like, is Ashilda died helping the Doctor and Clara to save her village. Brought back to life by the Doctor using alien technology, she is now immortal, the woman who lived. Since then, Ashilda has kept journals detailing her extraordinary life.
Right.
So this is a glimpse into some of those stories from her journal, by the sound of it.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, and I'm not sure about all of the bookstores, but from Amazon directly anyway, it's $9.99.
Oh, well, it's not too bad then.
Not too bad.
Right, price-wise. I mean, when I say fan-made, it's just because very often some of the fan-made things look so genuine. And I was saying this to Gary earlier, and very often the things that I think aren't genuine turn out to be genuine. So it's, yes.
Well,
yeah,
there's been some shoddy... I mean, if we think about the Christmas promo that the Bee put out, that looked terribly. I
honestly, that's a prime example. I thought that was fake, and it turned out to be true.
Yeah, and the same with this one. It's okay, but yeah, not one for us, I don't think. But fans of Ashilda, you'd probably like this.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there are fans of Ashilda.
Oh, there are. I mean, we had a couple of emails, didn't we, after we reviewed her TV stories from a couple of fans that were a bit miffed at my views on her and stuff. And so, yeah, there are Ashilda fans out there.
Yes, we got a telling off a couple of times over email from, So, but, I can appreciate her place within Doctor Who. So if this is another step towards some cool stories, then so be it.
Yes, and she does pop up in the finale, which we'll be discussing in a minute. So we'll see if she... maybe our views will have changed on her.
Yeah, sure.
Who knows?
Talking of the finale, I'm not sure, mate, but is that what we're reviewing this week?
It certainly is. This week it is, of course, Hell Bent.
You were barely more than a child. You broke in here. The Wraith spoke to you about the hybrid. Why did that story make you so scared?
I don't know. I don't remember it.
Sometimes you do. It's always the way with things we'd rather forget. You remember now, though, don't you? Tell me, Doctor, who is the hybrid? Who threatens all of time and space?
Oh, that's easy. That's very, very easy. The hybrid. It is you.
I'm human, with a little bit of Maya inside me. The hybrid is supposed to be half Time Lord, half Dalek.
No, it isn't. The actual prophecy specifies only two warrior races. The Daleks and the Time Lords have made assumptions, of course. And they would. Humans and the Maya, both warrior races. It fits perfectly.
It's an interesting theory.
Do you have a better one?
By your own reasoning, why couldn't the hybrid be half Time Lord, half human? Tell me, Doctor, I've always wondered. You're a Time Lord, you're a highborn Gallifreyan. Why is it you spend so much time on Earth?
That's your best theory. I'm the hybrid. I ran away from Gallifrey because I was afraid of myself. It doesn't make any sense.
It makes perfect sense, and you know it.
Yeah, Doctor. You know
Who
it.
is the blimmin' hybrid?
Oh, no.
Oh. Who is it? What is it? Oh, anyway, we'll get into it in a minute.
All right, who is the... Yeah, okay.
What is the hybrid? Anyway,
Yes.
I'll tell you what, just before we kick off, I have absolutely no inkling at all what you think of this episode.
The same. We haven't discussed it at all.
Well, I've been a bit blabbermouth, so I'm kind of glad you don't know, because I have sort of made a couple of comments this week. I kind of, not to you, on Facebook and that. So, but no, I mean, sometimes I get an inkling. Sometimes I just sort of kind of think, Gary might like that bit or whatever. But I haven't got a clue this week, so I'm really looking forward to getting into this one with you and chewing the fat.
Chewing the fat, sure. Right, Hellbent, the finale to Series 9. It's the last in the three-parter, which started with Face the Raven. And it's now kind of ushering in a new era, I guess, of Doctor Who after this one.
It's kind of like a fresh start after this, I suppose.
Yep, it does feel like a fresh start at the end. So as we left Heaven Sent, it transpired that the Doctor was inside his confession dial the whole time. And he was placed in there by the Time Lords. because they needed to find out who the hybrid was.
Because they're terrified of it.
Because they're terrified. And understandably, now the Doctor is out of the confession dial, which only took him, was it 3 billion years?
I think it was more than that, actually,
4
but yeah.
4 billion, yeah. He's, a bit grouchy. Is probably the best word to describe him at the moment.
I can think of other words, but we probably better not use them on the podcast.
Yeah. So he's a bit grouchy. And he's very disappointed and miffed with the Time Lords right now. A very specific Time Lord anyway. And the Time Lord High Council. He's not very happy with them at all. So he basically takes back Gallifrey quite quickly. And what we thought was going to be a very cool story about a battle between the Doctor and the Time Lords and so, we have Clara back.
Yes.
So the whole time, the Doctor was essentially not happy that he allowed Clara to be killed, and has concocted this wildly adventurous plan to try and save Clara, who at this point was dead, because this story is set, in terms of the timeline for Doctor Who, it's set right at the end before the universe is about to collapse. So he concocts this plan to save Clara, even though she was dead. Yeah, I don't want to get into too much of the story. I think we're going to talk about it as we go along. But yeah, and then as we get to the end, it's all what I thought was going to be closed off and stuff is left fairly open, but it kind of starts a new chapter for Who.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
I guess, yeah. Rightio. Off the bat, mate, what are your feelings on this one?
Off the bat, although I found it an enjoyable enough watch, I actually didn't think it was a very good finale to what's been quite a good series. There are bits in it I enjoyed. There are bits in it that just, quite frankly, baffle me. Not because I don't understand them, but just because of the story and the writing. And yeah, I can't help but feel a bit disappointed in it as a final. To be honest, I did enjoy watching it, but yeah, I'll tell you what. A lot of stories in this series, on a first watch, sometimes I haven't enjoyed them, and on a second watch, I've loved them. For example, Under the Lake and Heaven Sent. I loved both of those on the second watch, but wasn't sure about them on the first watch. This story, absolutely the opposite. I kind of first watch kind of enjoyed it, I think, because of all the sort of fan bait in there, like seeing the classic console and all that. It just, I was like, oh, I quite enjoyed it on the first watch. But it's only when I went back and watched on a second watch that it kind of, the whole thing just fell apart, actually.
Right.
So it's the only episode really in the whole series where it's had the sort of opposite effect on a rewatch, if you like. Mm-hmm. So that's my kind of feelings on it at the minute. What about yourself?
I was... I think I allowed myself to get very excited about it.
Yeah.
Before I watched it, and yeah, there was quite a bit of, because of the cliffhanger from Heaven Sent, when we saw the Doctor arrive on Gallifrey, and we saw it was just one of those oh my god moments, It was an OMG moment for sure, and I thought, oh, this is going to be so good, because I in my head I thought it was going to be a Doctor versus the Time Lords.
Yeah, well, that's kind of how it was marketed as well.
Yeah.
Like the whole synopsis for it kind of implied that.
Yeah, and I'll be very honest with you. The moment I saw Clara, I thought, oh no.
Yeah,
and it's, I'm kind of at odds with myself for saying that, because I've really liked Clara this series. I think this series more than any, she's really grown on me.
Yeah, me too.
I think a lot of people have said that, and I thought last week's Heaven Sent story was a pretty good send-off. She went out bravely, and it wasn't drawn out like we said in the review last week. It wasn't drawn out forever like some of the RTD things, and it was done quite well. And now she's back, and that. I mean, we'll get on to Clara in a little while, but that was one of the things overall that kind of put me back a couple of steps as I was going through it. It was, for me, it was one of those episodes where it was a step forward, where something very cool was happening, but then it was two steps back, because something to do with Clara or, something else in the story just put me back a couple of steps. And then, 10 minutes later, something very cool would happen. And it'd be like, yeah, this is awesome. And then literally within a matter of seconds, we're back to square one. And so overall, I thought it was a good episode. Absolutely, we've had a lot worse over the last few years. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't a terrible episode. However, I think it's one of those classic Moffat problems where we had a potentially epic story which could have gone down as, one of the best ever, but was just not completely, but slightly ruined by nostalgia and stuff, and just fan service, basically.
Yeah, we knew we were going to see Clara again because of the cover of last month's Doctor Who magazine. So we kind of knew that. But what I wasn't expecting was for the whole story to be around Clara, about Clara. Because like you said, we kind of thought, this whole sort of build up to the Doctor going back to Gallifrey, we've had that it's taken 2 series of Peter Capaldi to get back. So he's finally back on Gallifrey, and I think, like you, I was really hoping we were going to get to see some awesomeness on Gallifrey. And we'd got a little bit of it at the start.
Yeah.
But then the whole story just flipped and turned to be all about Clara. So, I was expecting her to be in it, and we kind of thought she was just going to be like a fragment and, it's just going to be a nice little send-off, because I didn't imagine for 1 minute that the Moff would be able to resist not being the one to write Clara out, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So I kind of expected it to be like a little scene where the Doctor goes back and, there's a little goodbye or whatever. But I didn't expect the whole episode to evolve around Clara pretty much. And that for me is probably my biggest bugbear with it. Because, I wanted to see Gallifrey. I wanted to see the Time Lords. And we got... what's the name of the chap that was the Donald Sumter?
Oh, Rassilon, yeah.
Yeah, he's been put out there in all the promotional pictures and stuff, and as the president, and it turned out to be Rassilon, which is great and all that. So this is one of the things that's really annoyed me about Doctor Who recently, is we keep getting these great guest stars, and I'm thinking of like Michael Troughton, for example, in the Last Christmas and all that. So you keep getting these brilliant guest stars, and then they are so underused.
Yeah,
he was in it for like the first 10 minutes, and it was all sort of building up. Like you said, the Doctor was sizzling, and the president's going a bit nuts because he's a bit scared that the Doctor's back on Gallifrey, and fantastic. And then the Doctor just banishes him, and we never see him again, and it's just such a waste of a brilliant actor and a great character. And the thing is, we know that at this point Stephen Moffat thought he'd be moving on. He's gone on to say that he thought that the Christmas episode would be his last and all this sort of thing. And you can kind of tell that from this episode already, that he was kind of winding down. He's wrapping everything up, and he's kind of doing exactly what he wants to do. There's a couple of bits in here that are a bit of a sort of 2 fingers up to, well, I'm doing it what I want sort of thing. And you can tell that he thought he'd be leaving after this series and special. The fact he's decided to stay on for series 10 is quite interesting, I think. So, yeah, it just really annoys you that we get these great sort of bits, like you said, these elements that could have been great, and it was kind of just thrown out the window a bit. And there's one bit which we'll come on to in a minute when we see the Daleks and all that, which is just it's been done so many times, and it almost just feels, I just imagine the Moffat has run out of things to write. He's sort of sat there thinking, right, I need to inject a bit of excitement into the episode now. What can I do? I know, I'll put a scene where the Angels and the Daleks Cybermen are there, and that'll kill 5 minutes because that'll be exciting. And it's like he's done that so many times, like in what's the Matt Smith one, the Christmas one, his final episode.
Oh yeah, the name of the
Time of the Doctor. Time of the Doctor.
Sorry, yeah.
Did it in that, didn't he? Same thing, and he did it at the end of one of the series final. He keeps doing it, and it's just, I don't know. I think someone last week said about Moffat bringing out the same old tropes. How do you say it? And I just and there were so many moments in this that I just felt like that. So yeah. Anyway, let's get into it a bit more.
Yeah, so we find the Doctor arriving on Gallifrey. So Gallifrey in itself, I thought I thought we were going to see a lot more of it.
Yeah.
Because it seems like whenever we see Gallifrey and Doctor... And we said the same thing, didn't we, about... What classic story did we see? Did we say this about? The Deadly Assassin. Tom Baker's story. We said that we hardly saw any of Gallifrey. Because that was based in the Citadel, right?
Yeah, when we pretty much, it takes place in the Citadel, the Matrix, yeah.
Yeah, and we said that it would be really nice to actually see a bit more of Gallifrey. And now if you fast forward to 2015, you know, the technology available, we should be able to see lots more of Gallifrey, you know?
Yeah.
So I was expecting to see a lot more of it. But instead, we're back out in the old barn.
Yeah.
Now, can you just confirm this for me? Is it the same barn that we saw in the 50th, the Day of the Doctor? Or is it someone else's barn?
I assumed it was the same barn, but somebody did put up because I did think, well, it looks different, but maybe it's just because of the lighting. But someone did put up a comparison picture, and it's if it is the same barn, it seems to have moved because there was mountings and stuff behind it before which aren't there, and it seems to be in a totally different place. So it's either the same barn or they are just reusing that barn set. I don't know. I kind of thought it was meant to be the same barn because it's got that, you know, that woman comes in and she recognises the Doctor, and we don't know who that woman's meant to be, do we?
Not yet. No.
I'm assuming it's like his nanny or whatever. I don't know, but yeah, I'm assuming it's meant to be the same barn, but it's clearly looks different from the location.
Yeah, maybe it's changed a bit over time.
Could be. Perhaps Gallifrey regenerates. We don't know.
Yeah. So we get to see that, and then the only other bit we get to see of Gallifrey is a couple of rooms inside the main city, I guess. So I was quite disappointed that we didn't get to see, because it's quite rare that a Doctor Who story is actually set on Gallifrey. You know, there's not been many, has there?
No, not really, no. And like you said, because of the sort of budget, we don't often get to see much of it. I think what we did see in this, in terms of the graphics and the style and the look of it, looked great. I mean, I love, you know, there was they've obviously sort of saved up a lot of the series budget to do those scenes that were at the start, because it looked fantastic, what we did get to see. But yeah, we just didn't see very much of it. Like you said, in terms of the actual inside of it, I think we saw one or two rooms. Yeah.
So yeah, what we did get to see was cool. I really liked the whole scene where he's outside in the desert at the barn, and that whole scene then when we first saw the Doctor confronted by some of the Gallifreyan soldiers and stuff. Yeah, I thought that was really good. Where the general turns up, you know, and he gives who's so Ken Bones plays him so good, so well, and that bit where he's giving the Doctor like a welcome speech, and the Doctor just turns around and shuts the door, and and then the High Council turns up, and he just does the same thing, because you can tell that he's waiting for Rassilon, or what, you know, or who he thinks is like, you know, the top guy. And then when Rassilon does turn up, you know, then he's ready to talk. So he's playing it Mr. Cool Guy for a while, and I liked all of that stuff. That whole scene, it was very cool. And okay, Rassilon then. Did you expect him to turn up?
No, I didn't actually. I'll be honest with you, I didn't see it coming. I probably should have seen it coming, but no, I didn't. I was quite pleasantly surprised when he sort of revealed himself, because it'd just been sort of marketed as being the president and stuff. And yeah I probably should have got it, but I didn't. And so yeah, I was a bit like, oh, it's Rassilon. So I was a bit excited about that. I thought we were going to get a sort of epic, you know, Doctor versus Rassilon sort of thing going on, but it didn't quite work out like that.
It didn't work out at all, and I was quite. That was another aspect of this episode where I thought we could have had a lot more of. We could have had Rassilon being much more of a prominent, you know, figure throughout the episode, but he's like you said at the beginning, he's only in it for a few scenes, and then he's banished by the Doctor.
I thought when he was banished, he was going to... I thought, you know, when he got banished, I thought we were going to sort of... they were going to come back to him sort of being marched away, and then he would sort of, you know, break free and escape. And I don't know, I sort of had all these things going on in my head all the way through on the first watch, thinking what might happen. And it didn't, sadly. Also, I couldn't get the soon as he said Rassilon, I don't know why I couldn't get a. This is the voice of Rassilon. I just couldn't. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's a shame. It just would have been great to see a bit more of him. I do get the feeling we haven't seen the last of him. I can't help but feel like the fact he's been banished means he's out there in the universe, a bit of an Omega figure that might sort of be very bitter and twisted and out to get the Doctor. So I'd like to think we're going to see him again.
Yeah. Well, as we've, as it's been, very clearly communicated to us, especially by Moffat these days, even when someone's dead, no one's truly dead in Doctor Who.
No, do you know what? That's kind of really annoys me, actually.
I think we're going to see Amy and Rory back in the next couple of episodes.
Yeah. It's just become, it just takes the edge off things, really. Because I think, it's just been done so much in the Moffat era. It just takes the shine off it. Like, you just think if anyone's dead, I mean, Adric will be popping up next.
Of course.
He's probably, I bet you poor old Matthew Waterhouse is furious watching this, thinking, well, never went back to save me. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, I don't know. I think it does just take the shine off it a bit.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Talking of wasted characters, by the way, you mentioned Ken Bones, which is a great character and another good actor. And, again, it just was thrown away, wasn't it? I mean, he sort of does stand by and help the Doctor.
Yes.
And then
that was a good scene as well.
It was a good scene, yeah. I loved it, and I just couldn't believe it that they just got rid of him so quickly when the Doctor shoots him. And without skipping forward too much, I really didn't like that. It seemed. I don't know why. Why did it have to be Ken Bones that got shot? If because the whole point of that was the Doctor trying to get away. He could have shot anybody to get if he was going to. I just think it got rid of a brilliant character and a brilliant actor for no reason at all, really. But yeah, I didn't like that. I didn't like the Doctor shooting someone. I know he sort of brushes it off by saying, which is a brilliant line, actually. He does say, regeneration is a Time Lord's man flu, or something like that.
Yeah.
Which is a cool line. But I didn't like it. I didn't like seeing the Doctor shoot somebody, especially as he'd stood by and helped the Doctor and been one of the few that that sort of tried his best to help him and do. Didn't like that.
I've got some thoughts on that. We'll come on to that. But Ken Bones played. I mean, let's not forget the character isn't gone. It's just the actor now. It's sadly been written out. So, so the whole Gallifrey thing and Rassilon, I thought that was going to be the crux of the story. I thought once that whole scene where the Gallifreyan soldiers and the general, once you can see that their allegiance is with the Doctor and they kind of abandon Rassilon. Yeah. I thought that was going to be what the rest of the story was about. His kind of battle with Rassilon and, sorting out Gallifrey and all that stuff. But it was very swiftly, taken away. We had some nice scenes with the General, actually, where the Doctor is sitting there in the High Council room. And the General saying that, he says something like there's many prophecies that say, and then the Doctor's like, and then he has to, that whole thing. So there's some really nice scenes with Capaldi and Ken Bones, and we just, like I said, we sadly just don't see enough of it. And one question I want to ask, actually, because these people are in this scene and they popped up before, is what were the Sisterhood doing there? The Sisterhood of Khan. Can you tell me why they were there?
No, I have no idea. I mean, I knew they were in the episode before it aired because there'd been promotional stuff about them. Mm-hmm. So, and I love the Sisterhood of Khan. I thought, that's good. What are they doing there? But what were they doing? No, I don't know. I have no idea. It wasn't really explained, was it? They just sort of kind of said they wanted to come and have, watch it all unfold or something.
I can only guess that because the universe is about to end, that they would be there to witness what happens at the end with the Doctor and Gallifrey, I suppose. But I found them a bit random, really. I thought the episode would have been completely fine without them in there.
Yeah, it's a shame because I love the Sisterhood of Khan and they worked really well in the beginning of Magician's Apprentice, hiding the Doctor and all that. I liked all that. Yeah. But they didn't serve any purpose in this, sadly.
But they were cool in the in that web special, the Paul McGann story, where
Yes.
you know they definitely served the purpose there, and that was very cool. But I just couldn't get my head around, you know, their impact on the story on this one. The story would have been completely fine without them. I'm not sure, but
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that. I mean, yeah, I liked seeing them, but they didn't serve any purpose, and I'm not sure how they sort of found Gallifrey quite easily as well, didn't they? Considering the Doctor's been, you know, looking for it for quite some time.
Let's talk about Gallifrey quickly, about how it's there now, because that was really kind of scrubbed over and not explained. Because was it Clara or somebody said that Gallifrey was suspended or frozen in time? How is it now here? And the Doctor just says, "Oh, they must have fixed it somehow," or something like that. He says, doesn't he? "Oh, they must have." You know how? I mean, that's quite a big thing. You know, that's quite a big thing, because I remember during the Day of the Doctor where Matt Smith and Dave, you know, those characters were like, you know, we're going to freeze you in a moment in time, you know, and that was it. And then I thought that the Doctor's kind of new mission, if you like, from Series 8 onwards, was his search to try and find and free Gallifrey. That was going to be his thing, and that wasn't done either. And now it turns out that Gallifrey's just there, you know, somehow unexplained. The Time Lords have fixed their own, you know, their own situation, and I was hoping for a bit more of an explanation than that.
Yeah, me too. I mean, this is another example of a sort of typical Moffatism in a script, isn't it? It's I think sometimes Moffat, just for the sake of just moving the story on, will just throw in a line like that, saying, whatever, go with it.
Yeah.
And I think I think that's why he kind of put that thing in about the Doctor having a cup of tea when he was in Davros's chair, and he says, of course, the real question is, how do I get the cup of tea? And what does he say? Just go with it or something.
Yeah.
And I kind of think that's the Moffat just talking to the fans, saying, you know, don't, you know, just accept it, which I think, you know, is not always a good thing. I think sometimes we, you know, it's a bit lazy. You know, I think sometimes we do need a bit more explanation. But
especially for something as big as that, as Gallifrey being trapped, and then all of a sudden it's not. It's like, okay, cool.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. So the whole Gallifrey thing and the characters on Gallifrey, so the General and the President, I thought were just wasted. I thought were wasted. Let's move on. So as we get into the story, the Doctor escapes from the General. Let's talk about that scene, actually, the regeneration scene with the General. So my thoughts on this are, like you, I'm kind of confused as to why the Doctor has to shoot him to escape, because you can tell that the General is on the Doctor's side, and just before the Doctor shoots him, he says, "Good luck," and he says, "You too, sir." So you can tell that, you know, he's kind of doing it. He's probably not very happy to be killed and used up one of his regenerations, but you can tell that he's doing it with the Doctor. But I'm still not sure as to why they need to do it. He could have just let the Doctor escape, because that's what he was going to do anyway. He didn't have to shoot him. But the whole regeneration thing, I think, was Moffat saying, because, you know, we had, when we had the reveal that Missy was going to be a female, it was all around, wasn't it? Because at the time, before the series had come back, there was this whole thing about, is the Doctor going to be a lady? Are we going to have a female Time Lord and all that stuff? Yeah. And then we had Missy, which is kind of dipping your toe in the water a little bit, about having a female Time Lord. Well, a prominent female Time Lord as the Master anyway. And then I think this is just another little planting of the seed for everybody. I think it's just a thing to say that, look, in the future, it's absolutely possible that the Doctor could regenerate, you know, as a woman.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and also I know a lot of people wanted. They said, "Well, a bit more then. If you're gonna make the Master a female, then let's have a flashback and let's see." You know, I think he probably put this in there just to show people, oh, okay, you want to see a male to female regeneration? Here it is. And so, yeah, I think that's why he threw it in there. I have no problem with that, but the problem I do have is I just wish it had been a different character. I wish it hadn't have been Ken Bones. I wish it had been like, even if the Doctor turned around to a character we hadn't seen before, a guard or something, and he'd have said regeneration, and like third, you think, oh, he's all right, he's young, just anything. But why did it have to be the general? It just that's the bit that annoyed me, because I like the woman that took over. I thought she was quite strong.
She's quite cool. Yep.
Yeah, I liked her. So do you know what I mean? It sort of, but it just narked me, the fact that he's got rid of Ken Bones. Really, I would have just and also I didn't like the Doctor shooting someone, because as much as I loved seeing Capaldi go off the rails, and I felt he was going down the Valar route, which I loved. I mean, the first time I watched it, I was thinking, he's turning into Valiard. He's put on a black coat. I was getting really, really... I think that's why I enjoyed it more the first time I watched it, because I was getting quite excited by the fact that the Doctor was going nuts and really, really getting off the rails. But the one bit I didn't like was him shooting someone. I just didn't like that.
Yeah, and I think it kind of centred around, because when the Doctor's back in Gallifrey, it's really it's the general, isn't it, trying to get out of the Doctor who the hybrid is, because they still see it as a threat, and the Doctor says that we need to speak to somebody about it, which turns out to be Clara. So I think the general's kind of going with what the Doctor wants to do, because he knows he's thinking about the bigger picture. If the Doctor can escape and and him and Clara can go off and do their thing, then this whole thing about the hybrid, it's not so much as a threat, because the Doctor's going to sort it out. But it just seemed a bit unnecessary for him to die, not die, but for him to regenerate. That actor to go. So, and then before we know it, Clara's back.
What did you think when you were watching this first time, and we go back to that exact scene, and then the Raven freezes in front of her? Did you just go, "Oh no"? What were your thoughts? What was going through your head?
Yeah, that's exactly what my thought was, and I wish it wasn't. I wish it wasn't that thought. I wish I could buy into the whole Moffat, this whole thing about not letting people truly die, and all that stuff. But yeah, as soon as I saw Clara, and then the 3D effect, when the Raven freezes, I was like, oh no, we can't be doing this, surely. And it just got, the whole thing with Clara got very quickly from bad to worse, because it wasn't just a little, he could have just saved it. If he'd have just had that moment where the Raven freezes, he pulls Clara into that room, they have a conversation, and then it was a case of, right, I haven't brought you in here because I can save you. We need information or whatever. And then she was back to being gone. That would have been bad, but at least it would have been a little grain of sand in the ocean. But no, he just carried the whole thing on. So Clara, for some reason, is brought back to life because, A, the Doctor wants to, he says he has a duty of care, for Clara, and this was somehow his plan to save her. Even though, I mean, it was quite contradictory, I would say, that throughout all of the history of Doctor Who, in all of the different stories where we've had things mentioned like paradoxes, and things where if characters change something at certain points and, fixed moments in time, all that stuff, the Doctor has been so insistent that doesn't get messed with. The thing I can think about most clearly is the fires of Pompeii. Where Donna is pleading with the Doctor to save the people, and he's like, I can't. This is like a fixed moment in history. This has to happen. And it's happened loads of times as well with previous stories, even in the classic years, where we've had this story, this theory about, paradoxes, and you can't mess with time and stuff. This just goes all out the window for this one. Even though it's spelled out to the Doctor that, if you save Clara, it could fracture time and space. He just doesn't care. I'm not. Maybe it's something to do with the universe is about to end anyway, and the Doctor's just happy to save Clara and bugger off back in time in the TARDIS. Maybe that's it, but it seems like quite contradictory for the character to be willing to do this when, every time before when this subject has come up, the Doctor's been insistent that you can't mess with this stuff because it does fracture time and all that. So, I can't I can't get my head into that and be happy with it. I really can't. Even when I watched it the second time, I was like, this just not doing it for me. This doesn't feel right. It just doesn't feel right.
I share that. I mean, this is where I become a bit perplexed, really, because I really liked Clara's send-off in Face the Raven. I just liked the fact that her sort of confidence and the way she, that built up and everything, and that was her exit, and she saved someone. I liked that. I kind of knew that, I wanted that to be the end of her story, even though I just kind of, my gut feeling was that the Moffat would never allow that to happen, because he just doesn't.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what annoys me about it. But that said, I did like seeing the Doctor and Clara and her reining him in. Like, she gets straight away that he's lost the plot.
Oh, yeah.
The fact that she's really going at him, saying, when she sees him shoot that guy, she just thinks, what's happened to the Doctor? He's what, and again goes down the Valeyard route, which I love. So I kind of liked that bit of the story, but I just didn't like the way that it took away her brilliant exit from Face the Raven.
Right.
And I was thinking about this last night. I was thinking maybe it would have been more interesting if we had this as sort of, like Face the Raven was a standalone story.
Yeah.
Maybe if it had been a two-parter, and we'd have had, it would have come full circle, the Doctor going mad, blah, 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 and then he has to take Clara back at the end, and that is the way she leaves. I think I would have preferred that. And then we could have had like an epic final on Gallifrey. He has to accept that Clara's got to go back to that fixed point. Then he goes into the confession dial, and then a brilliant finale on Gallifrey. I would have much preferred that, so that Clara's ending was her
right. Yes.
fate on Face Raven. You know what I mean? As a two-parter, rather than having this bizarre final where it kind of scrubs out that brilliant episode to a certain extent and gets rid of that excellent send-off and takes it down a completely different route. That's what I don't like about it, if you see what I mean. If it was a two-parter and we then went back and finished that scene and that was Clara's exit, I would have preferred that, because that's what annoyed me about it. I was thinking, no, that was a great exit. Don't go and ruin it like you always do. So that's what annoyed me about it. But the part that I did enjoy was seeing Clara just, totally getting that the Doctor's lost it. And it was great to see them. There was some nice scenes. It was great to see them back together. There were some great scenes between the two of them, like, the fact she helps the Doctor escape because she says they're all looking at her, and there were some great moments. But yeah, I think it's just because it got rid of that excellent exit that we got in Face the Raven that it kind of soured it for me personally. Anyway.
Yeah. No, I completely agree, mate. And that's one of the things that I thought when that initial thought when I was like, oh no, when they freeze the camera, I thought no, because you did such a good job with the send off.
Yeah.
In Face the Raven, that was perfectly done. You don't need to. She's gone. You don't need to mess with that stuff anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
And then as the episode went on, and it was clear that she wasn't just in it for a few minutes. And then let's not forget, we also have the story running in I'm assuming present day time with the Doctor and Clara in the diner.
Right. Yeah.
So it quickly became apparent to me that this episode was all about Clara.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably the one thing, that's probably the overarching thing that puts me off about this episode.
And that's what I mean. If it hadn't have been the final, I don't know about you, but it wouldn't have bothered me so much, because I would have thought, okay, it's Clara's last series, this two-parter's all about her leaving. I could have handled it. It's just the fact that the final was all about Clara again. I was thinking, no, That's what got me about it. Because the scenes in the diner were quite nice, weren't they? It's quite the Doctor sort of we didn't know at the time, but it's actually the Doctor's that's forgotten her and all that. But those scenes were quite nice of him playing her theme on the guitar and all that, and sort of trying to remember. And although I'm not a fan of these stories that keep going back and forth, I've said this before, it takes me out of the story when we keep cutting back to things. But I did kind of like the twist that it was the Doctor that forgot. I don't know about you. I didn't see that coming to begin with. When it turns out, because I thought it was Clara that clearly didn't know who the Doctor was.
Yeah.
when he comes in the cafe. I thought, what's going on here? You know what I mean? The Doctor's obviously just has managed to save her and he's just checking up on her. So I did like that twist, that it turned out the fact that he's there, doesn't have a clue, and, you know, she's actually the one that remembers it all.
Yeah, I thought
that worked for me.
Yes, that was quite cool, I thought.
Yeah.
I quite like that. It was just more the fact that the whole thing was about Clara again.
Yeah. No, I get it. Yeah, I'm the same. Yeah.
And there were some scenes, actually. You know, we spoke about when the Doctor, when they escaped from the cloisters.
Yeah.
And that scene you spoke about where she said, you know, you'll be looking at me. So that gives the Doctor a chance to escape and so on. The TARDIS that they go into, did you not think it was absolutely beautiful?
Yeah, I did. I mean, I absolutely loved it. I loved it. I think this is why I enjoyed it so much on the first watch, because I was just sort of so fanboying over stuff like that. And it looked brilliant. It was so simple. And this is such a tiny detail, but something I just loved was the fact they got those original two little doors that from the first Doctor's console, those two little tiny thin doors. I just think they're so simple.
Yeah. And the sound effect was there as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, the door sound effect. Yeah, it was brilliant. Really nice attention to detail. It was strange because it wasn't an exact replica of like, you know, like the console that we get in Adventure in Space and Time, where they did that amazing job of recreating the actual set. But it was enough, you know, it's enough to be the same but different. I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, and I think Clara mentions, doesn't she, that it's a bit basic, I think she says.
Yeah.
Or something like that. And he says, I can't remember what he says. No, it's classic or it's simple or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember taking a screenshot of that on iPlayer and putting it out on Twitter, and that got loads of even like this morning, we've still got like 3 favourites on that tweet and stuff. So that went down really well. And it just looks so good. I mean, like you say, it wasn't an exact replica of Hartnell's interior and console, but it was enough that you instantly knew it was, you know, from around that time. Yeah. Or around that time when that's what the TARDIS first looked like. You know, if you went and got a brand new TARDIS, that's probably what it would look like the first time. And it just it was so good. I mean, that was probably one of the highlights of the episode for me. I know it sounds silly, you know, it's just an interior and stuff, but it was just so good. And I remember looking up who did the cinematography as well, because one thing that I will say about this episode was it looked fantastic.
Oh, it did.
Especially the scenes inside that TARDIS and stuff, the lighting and stuff. It was so good. I remember tweeting the guy he was like, "Oh, thanks a lot. You know, it's not just me. It's a team effort." But when I looked at some of his previous stuff, he's done a lot of good stuff. And because normally what you find is sets that are like almost pure white and stuff. It can be quite hard to get the lighting correct because the faces can look a bit pale and stuff. It's a bit washed out, but this was bang on. And pretty much the whole episode, like the desert scene on Gallifrey, and you know all that stuff, all the interior shots as well. It just looked brilliant. So yeah, really loving that TARDIS interior on the console.
Yeah, me too. It doesn't sound silly at all. I was absolutely the same. And yeah, it's a highlight of the episode. I love the little, you know, those little circles, like little rounders, but they're actually lights, blue lights, and just fantastic. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, I know our friend Andy Frankham-Allen said that as much as he liked it, he wouldn't want to see that for a whole series. I have to disagree. I would love it. I would just love that to be the TARDIS console. Every week I'd have no problem with that. I just think it's iconic. Yeah. I'd be quite happy with it.
And the whole shower rooms built in.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
That was great. And let's move on before we run out of time on this. But so it turns out that the Doctor can't save Clara, actually, can he?
No, he can't, and that's when he really, really starts to lose it, isn't it? He's like getting really cross, and God, you do actually feel like Capaldi's such a good actor that he actually really does snap. Yeah, I was thinking, you know, he's like really cross.
He gets quite frustrated with Clara, doesn't he? Because I think in the back of his mind at that point he knows that what he's doing is not working.
Yeah.
You know, this plan to get her outside of Gallifrey and get her away from everything, so that her pulse returns and stuff. I think he knows that it's not worked, because he suspended her in time, just like Gallifrey was, basically. So she's in between heartbeats, which I thought was quite well done. I thought that was quite a good idea. And yeah, so he knows, and yeah, he gets really frustrated, doesn't he? Because he's like, "You're not checking your pulse correctly," and she's like, I'm doing it right, and he's all snappy.
Let me do it.
Yeah, he's all snappy and stuff, and you know that was all good stuff. You know, as a little scene, that was all cool stuff. It was just a shame that it was wasted on this particular story.
It reminded me a bit of Colin Baker's Doctor, actually.
Yes,
with him getting cross with Perry. I was thinking he's going down that route. Yeah, no, it was as I said, there were some great bits in it like that. Just backtracking very slightly, I mentioned earlier about the Daleks and the Cybermen and that being in it, and the Angels. Because the thing that really annoyed me about that is, again, it's so pointless having them in there. And we had the sliders, or the what were they called? The Matrix Wraiths, or what were they called? Sliders.
Oh, the
in the cloister.
Yes.
With their faces sort of appearing and disappearing, and they were like almost like they're on wheels, just floating around.
Yeah. What are they called? Yes, something like that.
I think he calls them sliders, but he also refers to them as wraiths or something.
Wraiths, cloister wraiths, yeah.
Cloister wraiths, that's it.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, they were great, and you didn't need the Daleks and that in there as well. All you needed was those. They could have really used those much better, because they looked quite well. They looked interesting, and they looked quite scary as well. But we didn't, they weren't used. I mean, when Clara's distracting the new president, the general.
Yeah.
They're sort of sliding around in the background, and you're sort of thinking, a bit of danger there. But no, they're just sort of moving around in the background. But I just thought they were a great thing, but sort of underused and kind of very much sidelined, just to have the Daleks and Cybermen and Weeping Angels in it. And it was just something Moffat's done so many times. It was pointless.
Yeah, and that was that whole idea about the Matrix and stuff, that when Gallifreyans die, they get uploaded into this thing. I thought that was a nice hark back to The Deadly Assassin as well, because a big part of that story took place inside the Matrix. Yeah. So it's quite nice in a way that Moffat, does refer back to this stuff. You can tell that he's, as a fan of the classic stuff, he does like, certain aspects of it and does use it. So that's quite cool.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. As I say, it's some great stuff in there, I thought, like that, and like the classic console. And yeah, he does. When Moffat gets it right, he does it well. Can't deny that. So going to sort of towards the end then, so we get to the end of the universe, and the Doctor's losing it, and he lands, and lo and behold, who's sat outside? Bert Schilder.
Yeah.
What's she doing there?
I must admit, when actually as that scene starts, it was a nice little nod as well to the 10th Doctor, when he's like, it's always 4 knocks.
Oh, loved that. Yeah,
that was quite cool. And then the I must admit, when I saw that scene for the first time, and he walks out and there's a Schilder, to myself I shouted out, "Oh yeah, here's Gob beep." I don't know if you know that saying, but
yes,
yeah. And I thought, oh, really?
Where was Matey Boy? Where was Rufus Hound? He's an immortal, isn't he?
Oh, well, there's a couple, isn't there?
He should have been there. That would have been great, actually.
Is the face of Bo? Is he must have copped it by now? Then he must be long gone.
Poor old face of Bo.
Yeah. So yeah, lo and behold, yeah, like you say, there she is. Which you kind of expected, I suppose. She's popped up, quite a bit this series, so you'd expect her to be there at the end as the immortal.
Yeah.
And then they had the conversation, don't they?
I was going to say, this is the bit that surprises me, because this is the bit I thought where fandom would go nuts, because when she starts bringing up the whole Doctor being the hybrid, half human, half Time Lord, obviously referring back to the TV movie with Paul McGann, and I know how much that is hated by fans, and I'm not a fan of it either.
Yeah.
I thought that would just, I thought the internet would go ballistic over this, but I haven't really seen many people mention it, and I suppose because it's implied and not given as fact. So,
Yes.
but I can't believe the Moffat brought it up again. Like, I think that's just something that should just not be mentioned. The whole Doctor being half human again, because he doesn't say she's wrong either, does he? And it kind of feels like a cop out from Moffat to me. It's like he's put it in there just to annoy you, just to bring it up again, but he's not going to give you he's not going to say either way. He hasn't got the guts to do that, which I'm glad about, because I just don't think that is a subject we need to go near again. But yeah, I thought people would go mad over that, him bringing that whole half human thing up again.
Yeah, and it was a classic unanswered thing as well, wasn't it? Where Ashildr, she kind of insinuates that the hybrid is the Doctor, half Time Lord, half human. Because he actually says the hybrid is her, doesn't he? And she's like, no, it's not me, because I'm mostly human with a little bit of Maya, so it's not me. And then it's kind of weird, because she's like, the hybrid is, it's you, because we have that same thing, don't we? Where why do you spend so much time on Earth? So we have that whole thing. But then she says about this other idea that the hybrid is actually two separate people. And I think, does she suggest that it's the Doctor and Missy? The Doctor and the Master, or is it the Doctor and Clara?
Well, she mentions Missy, and then she says about Missy bringing the Doctor and Clara together, and then she kind of insinuates that it is the Doctor and Clara because he's gone and done all this because of her. It's very unclear, and to be honest with you, this is the thing that really does narc me about this episode. We've had all this build-up about the hybrid. It's kind of been the overriding arc. Mm-hmm. And the payoff for it is so not there. And it really does bug me. Because it's just, it almost feels like it wasn't, like Moffat didn't finish the script, or he's backed out. He's what's the word I'm looking for? He's
non-committal.
He's bunked it. He's just not gone through with it. If you're going to do a story about the hybrid, have the guts to come out, because the Doctor's supposed to know what the hybrid is, and he even says it a few times in Heaven Sent. And that's what the whole torture thing was about, to get him to confess, but he won't. So it sort of doesn't make sense to me. So does the Doctor know what the hybrid is? If he does, what is it? Was it the Doctor and Clara? It just doesn't make sense to me, and I really find that frustrating, because the whole build-up's been about the hybrid. I wanted to know what the hybrid was, one way or another, or at least there to be a more clear indication of what the hybrid was, because I still don't really get it, to be honest with you. I don't know about you.
I'm kind of lost on it as well, I'll be honest with you. I was hoping that we were going to find out, really only so they can put that story to bed.
Yeah, exactly.
And get on with it, but unfortunately, I can see it now. I can see that coming back at some point. So I was just hoping that they would explain it, and the Doctor would, confirm either way, whether he's the hybrid or something else. But yeah, we just don't really get it explained.
Actually, I just realised he's done a bit of a Sherlock thing. Given us out 4 different things that could possibly be the hybrid, which is kind of what he does with the whole Sherlock jumping off the roof thing. When we finally got an episode revealing it, he gives us multiple variations of how it might be done. So it's a kind of another Moffatism. He's kind of just saying it could be this, it could be that, and I don't like that. I'm afraid I like lists, and I like things to be rounded up, and I don't want everything answered, but if you're going to have a big arc about hybrid, at least give us something a bit more concrete, I think.
Yeah.
For me personally, anyway.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And our OCD just won't allow us to relax and be okay with that.
Not really, no. Yeah. No, I wasn't. I just wasn't satisfied by it, I think. Yeah.
No, I read you. And so, yeah, Ashildr, reaffirms to the Doctor that by allowing Clara to live and sort of trying to save Clara, you're essentially going to screw the whole universe up. And that's when I have the idea about the neuroblocker wiping the memory.
Yeah, I liked Clara watching it on the monitor. I thought that was quite good, because then she knew everything that was going to happen. And I've got to give kudos to Jenna's performance. I really liked her in this. Like you said, I've really grown to like Clara in this series. I think she's worked brilliantly with 12.
Yes.
So that whole thing, when the Doctor comes in and he's going to wipe her memory, very reminiscent of Donna. And quite cruel. I'm sure the Doctor can, it must be something else he could do. So quite cruel, really. So yeah, I kind of liked that, and I like the fact that she was like, "No, you're not." She stood her ground. Again, this is another great performance for Jenna. The fact that she's just, she's quite strong in the scene with Capaldi. I think she's like, "No, I've done this," I really did like that scene. I thought when he says, "Let's do it together. Let's take a chance. I don't know which one of us is going to lose it," and they press the button together, and then there's that awkwardness between them waiting for something to happen. I thought it was a great scene. I really, really liked it. And then, obviously, it's the Doctor that's memory is being wiped, and he almost, I knew he wasn't going to regenerate, but he almost looks like he's going to regenerate, doesn't he? He's kind of falling back on the floor, saying goodbye and all that.
Yeah, he almost looks like he's going to regenerate, and So that was quite a good scene as well. Like, it's almost like memory blocker roulette. Where you're not quite sure what's going to happen, but as soon as that happened, as soon as you saw the Doctor pass out on the floor, that did instantly explain the whole scenes with the Doctor and the Clara in the diner.
Yeah,
because as soon as it cut back to that, you could tell instantly that it was the wrong way round. For the whole episode, you thought it was Clara that had no memory at all of anything. Or of the Doctor anyway. So like we said earlier, it's quite a good twist.
Yeah, I liked it. I mean, I didn't see it coming. I thought it was a good reversal of what I thought was going on. So yeah, I liked that. I thought it was a good scene. It's tugged at the heartstrings enough. I mean, I didn't well up or start crying or anything. It wasn't like a big emotional goodbye, but it did its job. I think. I thought it was a good scene, and I thought it was nice actually. Capaldi is so good at. And Jenna, actually, when they're both sort of chatting at the end, and then she has to turn around because she's getting emotional. Because it's almost a bit like, not a doddery old man, but he's kind of he's quite vulnerable, isn't he? Yeah. He's just sort of sat there in the diner trying to piece it together, and he's kind of got a few memories. I think he mentions the Ice Warriors on the submarine and stuff, doesn't he? So he's kind of piecing it together, but not quite there. So it's a really nice little scene, that. Yeah, I like seeing him quite sort of vulnerable like that, and Clara obviously knows exactly what's going on but can't tell him. And then
what did you think too? So Clara is, from what I could gather, Clara is going to go back to being dead at some point, because she's on her way back, isn't she, to that point where she can resume her dying stance, accompanied by a shielder. But her reference that she's going to go the long way round is a blatant, open-ended thing, to the fans, that we possibly haven't seen the last of Clara. Because it was well done where the whole scene in the diner was actually inside the TARDIS. Yeah, the Doctor says didn't it used to be over there or something? Yeah. And we get a nice little mention of Amy and Rory. Yeah. And then the closing scene, those closing scenes the closing scene with Capaldi was awesome. Where he goes back, he gets his jacket back on, and the TARDIS has created a new Sonic for him. Flicks the fingers, the door's shut. Yeah, a little tendon nod there. That was all awesome. Brilliant. I loved all of that stuff, because that for me was one of the best bits of the episode. Yeah. was right at the end, unfortunately. And it does leave you wanting more as well, because you think to yourself, right, the Doctor's got himself back together, he's got his mojo back, he's got a new Sonic, and the TARDIS is off. So it's like, yes, now we can look forward to some new adventures, new companions, all that stuff. So that part of the story of the episode, I thought, yes, that's awesome. But I was like, no, because we're not going to get any more, new Doctor Who for nearly a year. But so all that was cool. But the thing with Ashilda and Clara flying off in the opposite direction and in the other TARDIS, I wasn't really a fan of.
No, I wasn't. I mean, for a
No.
start, the CGI looked absolutely dreadful. Like, it obviously run out of budget by that point. No, for me, it would have been better if it just ended. You know, when the TARDIS takes off and then her mural that's been painted on side of it kind of cracks up and splinters off the TARDIS. That was really nice. That should have been the ending, I think. I hated that. Those two, the TARDIS diner and the TARDIS just spinning off in different. Oh dear, no, it wasn't good. I don't know how I feel about the whole Clara going off on adventures the long way around before she has to finally go back and face her ending. I don't think I really like that because I don't think you ever would. I think if you were given a free reign like that, I'm not sure you ever would think, actually, do you know what? I suppose I ought to go and die. I just don't know that you would because I suppose, is she immortal now? Are they both immortal? I don't know, but
Well,
I don't know. It's not the ending it's not the ending I wanted for Clara. I much prefer to think the ending was Face the Raven.
Yeah.
I can see Big Finish picking up on this though. I can definitely see Ashilda and Clara going to Big Finish in a year or two. It wouldn't surprise me in the least.
Yeah.
In a spin-off, but it wasn't the ending for Clara. I would have liked.
Yeah.
I just knew the Moffat wouldn't be able to leave it at that. I just knew it.
Yeah, and that's what I said earlier. There was some aspects of this episode that was just fan service, and this was the main one for me because, as Twitter got flooded with comments from people, as it normally does straight after an episode of Doctor Who, I saw so many tweets saying, "Can't wait for a spin-off show with Clara and Ashilda, and I can't wait for the spin-off stuff." And I'm thinking, no. You know, this shouldn't be there at all in the first place, let alone having spin-off stories with, you know, Clara and Ashilda. So I just wasn't a fan of it at all. And I think that's just, like we said earlier, that's just the whole thing about this episode. They just should have left Clara alone.
Yeah.
You know, and it does make a bit of a mockery of the awesome Face the Raven that we reviewed quite highly.
Yeah, we did.
We reviewed that. I think we gave it a decent score. And
I don't like this whole thing of forgetting all the memories. So I mean, I know the Doctor sort of has vague memories, but he's kind of forgotten Clara, which kind of I don't like. I mean, it kind of worked with Donna because it was heartbreaking, and I loved the character of Donna.
Yeah.
But I don't like it being used again, and I don't like the fact the Doctor's sort of forgotten all those great times with Clara because they were a good combination. I really did like them together.
Yes,
a lot more than I thought I would. So although he does remember vague bits and he does sort of remember the adventures, it doesn't sit right with me, to be honest with you.
Yeah. So Hellbent.
Hellbent, yeah, not what we were expecting.
Not at all.
No.
So let's move on to scores.
Yeah.
Because I think we've gone into enough detail about this one now. It's you to go first as well.
It's me to go first. I rated and sent 8 out of 10, didn't I? And this certainly isn't anywhere near as good as that. I think I might have gone a bit low with Heaven Sent, but I'm not going to change the score. But I wish I'd rated it a bit higher because I'm going to rate Hellbent 7.5 out of 10. I kind of find it an enjoyable enough watch, but I do find it unfulfilling, unsatisfying overall. So 7.5. And if I could go back, I'd probably rate Heaven Sent a lot higher because I think it's a lot better than this.
Yeah,
but,
we gave it an 8, yeah.
Yeah, I probably should have gone slightly higher, but I won't change it. But anyway, yeah, so 7.5 for me on this one.
7 from me.
A 7.
Yeah.
7.
Yeah, I thought it was, like I said at the very beginning, I thought it was a good episode. And we certainly had episodes that were miles off the ball, a lot worse than this.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
You know, so it was a good, enjoyable episode, but I just thought it was a bit too much fan service, a bit too much of classic Moffat ridiculousness in it, and some unexplained bits and pieces, and again, stuff that we've said time after time, it seems to be for this series and the last one, that characters are underused.
Yeah.
You know, they've got these really cool characters, great actors as well playing them, but they're just not getting the screen time. So, yeah, 7 for me, 7.5 for you, buddy.
Yeah, it would have been a lot higher if the hybrid payoff had been better.
Yeah. Let's see what you guys thought. We got a decent chunk of audio reviews in. Let's start off with our buddy Alex Kingdom.
Now, I mean, before I get into the review, I just want to say thank you to both you guys for doing a fantastic job on the podcast. You keep my Fridays entertaining. Well, it took me about 10 minutes after watching this review to calm down and stop crying. Now, I mean, Stephen Moffat, the Moff, the Grinch of Christmas, has basically kind of annoyed me with the whole Clara thing, but I will accept it because that ending was so beautiful. And maybe you guys can clarify this for me. Did Clara remember the Doctor forget, or did the Doctor remember at the end? I'm really confused. And the Shield's in a diner, because Clara's not in that, right? Pretty sure. I'm pretty sure she's dead. Yeah, she's dead. I'm pretty sure. But yeah, I'm gonna give the episode a 10 out of 10, guys. I really enjoyed it, and Peter Capaldi's performance, I might as well get into, was amazing, and Gallifrey being back was really good, and especially when he was eating his soup and just having a load of great time. And you guys enjoyed the rest of the podcast, and I hope you guys are all enjoying listening to it as well, because I am.
Thank you very much, Alex.
Thanks, Alex. That's great. And actually, just to pick up on something Alex said, I mean, we did talk about Capaldi and Jenna in this, but yeah, I just have to agree with him. They were both fantastic. I mean, Capaldi was superb in this episode, I thought. In fact, he's been superb in the last 2 episodes. Really, really top form, I thought.
He's been on fire the last 3 episodes, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And Jenna, brilliant as well. Yeah.
Facebook, Lewis Palmer. I quite liked it, actually. Glad it was kept more simple after the awful Heaven Sent. The Hartnell TARDIS looked glorious in HD. Yes, it did. That should be it for Clara now, though, or at least the main show. Her story arc is done and dusted, and there is no need to bring her back after that. Not a fan of the Doctor forgetting about her either. The final scene in the TARDIS was one of my favourite ever final scenes, setting everything in motion for a brand new era. Gina Di Gregorio. That's right, isn't it? Di Gregorio, yes. Fantastic. Great way to cap off a fantastic series. It seems to have split the fandom down the middle, and I sort of understand, as everyone seemed very excited by Gallifrey's return. But it was a really touching, beautiful character piece. Hard for me not to enjoy it. I do hope you guys liked it. A little nervous for your review, though. Indeedy. Let's do another audio clip. This is from France, Ian Stevens.
Hello, Ian from France here. Well, they gone done ruined it, didn't they? One question. Why on earth is Clara back? Why? It was done with. It was over. We'd come to terms with her leaving the show. We, as viewers, had been put through the emotional ringer once, and now, 2 weeks later, we are seriously expected to be put through it again. And to be asked to give a damn just one last time was too much to take. From the opening moments with Clara in the diner, I gave up hope. Then the guff with the Time Lords took place, which was pretty cool at times, but ultimately pointless, as it was just an exercise in getting the plot to the place Moffat truly wanted it to be. The second, or is it third, departure of Clara. Squeeze some more tears from me, Moffat. My eyes have been dry for at least 10 minutes. Give me a break. I'm done with it, I think, as a show. Done with it. I certainly won't be watching the Christmas special, which looks frankly ghastly. Oh good, River Song, the worst recurring character in the history of the show, is back for a pantomime-esque comedy festive romp. I can't wait. Someone pass me the sick bag. I'm about to throw up. Moffat, please, please, please go away. That's enough. Ok, c'est suffit. J'ai parti. À bientôt, mes amis.
Whoa.
Whoa, okay.
I was almost hovering over the rant button for Ian there.
Yeah, I think it needed it, actually.
Yeah, and he emailed up afterwards, actually, to say that his score would have been 2 out of 10.
2?
Yeah, I thought he was going to give it a 0.
I was a bit worried about what language is going to come out of his mouth at the end there with Moffat, please, please, please. Yeah. I love the fact our TARDIS translates his French into English as well. It's brilliant.
Oh, yes, it's very good. Yeah. Back
good.
on Facebook, Sammy Satine. Okay, that was beautifully sad. It really was, but it asks too many questions for a finale. On its own, it's great, but judging it against the other 2 parts, it doesn't come off as strongly as I hoped. What annoys me the most is I was right. Stephen Moffat couldn't kill Clara off completely. I really wanted Stephen Moffat to prove me wrong. that he could do it. Now I believe that he can't. 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
Extra points for the new Sonic. Kieran Knight, Hellbent. He says, where do I start? What a terrible mess Moffat has created. Despite great performances and production values all round, the characters were betrayed as the build-up in the build-up is ruined by Moffat pressing these big reset button for the Doctor's memories. The fact Moffat brought Clara back was not surprising, but disappointing. The hybrid story arc went absolutely nowhere, with no one actually knowing what Anders Schilder's guess being the best anyone can come up with. All that great build-up for this, no. He says, nice Sonic though, 4 out of 10.
Yeah.
Okay. Helen Jones. Thought I'd mix it up a bit and pop my comments here this week. Excuse me. I loved every second of Hellbent. Highlights for me were the Cloister Wraiths. I'm hoping to see them again. The return of Ahila. Love the Sisterhood of Khan. The Doctor's new screwdriver, which is a thing of beauty. And of course, seeing Clara fly off into the sunset with me in her very own TARDIS. Now, there's a spin-off show that the Beeb should make. And if the Beeb aren't interested, it's got Big Finish written all over it. Splendiferous, 10 out of 10.
I'll tell you what, I bet you, I mean, putting our thoughts aside, if they did a Clara and Shielder spin-off, I bet you it'd be really popular.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, it would. I know it would.
Yeah, well, it's no denying that Clara's very, very popular as a companion.
Oh, I can just see a certain quarter of fandom absolutely lapping up a spin-off for them too, and another quarter absolutely hating it. But there you go.
Yeah. Christopher Law. I can't help but feel a bit deflated and disappointed by that episode. I really don't understand why there was a need to bring Clara back, as I think Face the Raven was a perfect ending for her. And then there wasn't enough Gallifrey in it. So does the Doctor know where Gallifrey is now or not? What a waste of the fantastic Ken Bones and Donald Stumper. Really hope we don't see Clara and her flying diner again. What a mess of an overall... what a mess of an episode. Overall, 3 out of 10. But for the series 9, 8.5.
Yeah, no, I agree with
kind
a
of
lot
agree
of
with
that.
you, mate. Yep.
It was a bit of a mess, yeah.
Yeah. Let's hear from Thomas Evans.
Hello, Gary and Adam of the Big Blue Box podcast. So then, Hellbent. I thought Hellbent was a really good episode. I thought it was a good series finale. But that's not to say it didn't have its faults, because it did have a few faults. The first fault that I really didn't like was the fact that obviously we knew that the Time Lords and Gallifrey were returning, and I was really excited about that because I really wanted to see what the storyline was going to be and everything. But then it was a shame to find out that Gallifrey was actually very underused, and we really don't get to see a lot of it. Again, with the Time Lords, it was the same issue. They were kind of there at the beginning, but then it felt as if Clara kind of just took over the storyline, which I really wasn't a big fan of. I really think that, and this is the next fault. I think that I really wasn't a fan of them pulling Clara out of her death. I really don't think that was a very good thing to do. And obviously now she's travelling around with Maisie Williams' character, Ashilda, which I'm not a big fan of really. But besides those faults, I think the episode was pretty good on the whole. The acting was great and everything like that. And I'm just sad that Ken Bones has regenerated, because that did feel quite forced. And I think it's just Moffat trying to put a point across to say, if I want a Time Lord to regenerate into a female, then it will happen and I can do it. So it felt quite forced, but they were the faults. But then besides them, overall, I thought it was a really good episode. And I'd probably give it about 8.5 to a 9 out of 10. Because, I really did enjoy it. So thank you.
Cheers, Tom.
Cheers, Thomas. And hashtag bring back Ken Bones.
Bring back Ken Bones, yeah. Back on Facebook, Scott Stearns. Not as good as last week's episode, but still a solid one. Some good bits and some wonky bits. Loved the old school TARDIS. The whole cloister area looked like a much better idea than it was when it was shadows in the dark, but less so when you could see the monsters up close. Gallifrey and the Time Lords was set up for more, then kind of disappeared into the haze of bringing Clara back, which initially made me groan not again. Hopefully Rassilon will be back, since he was banished to who knows where. I like the idea of stories and memories that come out of this episode, which ties the whole season together. Even Sleep No More, which is a story told by Ice Knot. I hope the Christmas episode gets to take advantage of the clean slate of the ending, which is a good point. Yep. Paladin of Gallifrey. I loved every minute of this episode. If he used Time Lord technology to forget about the last 2 minutes. The direction was flawless. The acting from Mr. Capaldi is amazing. The time spent in rural Gallifrey alone was worth the price of admission. I simply wish that Clara had either remained dead or was actually sent back to die, thus saving reality. The idea that the universe could fracture is, if she continued to live, loses all significance if she flies off to have adventures of her own. I understand why the Doctor wanted to forget, to protect from the Time Lords, but why did he want to forget her? Overall, an amazing season and still better finale than season 8, so 8 out of 10. Where are we up to? Scott Stearns popped back up and said, after second viewing, I liked it much better. Once I accepted that Clara was part of the storyline, it felt more poignant. Okie dokie. Yeah, okay. George Coppen, loved it. Brilliant way to end a brilliant series. I think it was a perfect way to bring Clara out of it, and I don't think she will return. She and Ashilda are perfect together. Also, the Doctor forgetting Clara is the best way for him to move on. 10 out of 10.
Do you think it would have been better if the Doctor had, if in the end, if she would have had to have gone back and face the Raven? Do you think it would, rather than going off on a spin-off, do you think if the episode had gone full circle and she would have had to go back, do you think that would have made it better?
I think so.
So that was her ending. Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, absolutely. Another audio review. This is Matt Rowney from The Who Addicts.
Guys, I'm so disappointed. We were given an episode that was the complete opposite to what we were expecting. We were expecting an episode where the Doctor was home on Gallifrey fighting the Time Lords, and we got the complete opposite. Gallifrey ended up being wasted in the end, the Time Lords were wasted and were hardly in it, and the Gallifrey story arc, which I wanted to be developed, came to a screeching halt, and it became the Clara show for no reason. Bringing her back was completely unnecessary, there was no reason for it, and it ruined that beautiful ending she had in Face the Raven. I no longer can go back and watch that episode and fully enjoy her death, because it technically never happened that way. It was an unnecessary plot twist by Stephen Moffat. And because of that, every scene between the Doctor and Clara, no matter how emotional or beautiful it was, just didn't work for me because her presence just ruined it. The hybrid was a complete letdown as well. I don't even feel like we've got full clarification on that. And the Doctor forgetting Clara again was a huge cop-out. It just makes the last 3 years with Clara a complete pointless redundancy. I just feel like I can't look back at that properly now because the Doctor has forgot her. It was a Series 4 rehash, in my opinion, and just a big anticlimax. And then to end it, she flew off with me in the worst CGI Diana TARDIS ever. I mean, I don't even know what that was. So yeah, to conclude, guys, this episode was just disappointing. I'm past anger, I'm past frustration, I'm just let down. It wasn't what we were expecting. It was an unnecessary story that just didn't work. I'm sorry, but it's going to get a 4 out of 10, and that's being generous. Stephen Moffat, you've royally let us down.
Oh dear.
Oh dear, yeah, I watched the Who Addicts review of this yesterday.
Yeah, me too.
They were a lot more angry. They really were pretty angry. Try not to use bad language. Yeah, they really weren't happy with this episode. And,
Well, it's one of those things, isn't it? When you get past anger, you just feel a bit let down, really.
Yeah, that's right.
But anyway, last few on here on Facebook. Joe Sweeney, what an outstanding episode. I enjoyed every second of it. It was very well written. Lots of action, twist and questions being answered. Great to see Gallifrey again in the Time Lords. No doubt we will see them again in the future. Jenna's last performance was spot on. Farewell, Clara. I'm happy the Doctor finally has a new screwdriver. At last, no more sonic shades. It starts another new era. Bring on the new companion. This episode is given a big score of 10 out of 10.
Oh, glad you enjoyed it, Joe. That's cool.
Yep. Ryan Anthony, that was the best thing I've ever watched. The episode was packed with character pieces, action, and so many plot twists. And what I couldn't even care less about, the fact that Gallifrey wasn't used much or had much significance, or even that Clara's character round off. That was a tad cheesy. Jesus, I sound more rebellious than the Doctor at the start of the episode. The acting was sensational, the script was genius, and Clara couldn't have ended any better. The Clara and Me escapade spin-off is needed. He's put 100 million trillion out of 10, my best episode ever.
Wow, goodness me.
Really liking that one, mate. Lastly on Facebook, Jeff Waddle.
Jeff.
Nowhere near as good as last week's. Too many questions left unanswered. What is the story with the Danny Pink timeline? And listen, that's a good point. Good moments. Love the Gallifrey stuff and the original TARDIS, but why are the Sisterhood of Khan suddenly there?
Yeah.
Made not a bit of sense, but at least Clara is gone now. 2 seasons too late for me, but he gives it a 7.
Oh, okay. Well, that's cool.
I was expecting Jeff to go ballistic on this one.
Yeah, I never know with Jeff.
Yeah.
I always look forward to Jeff's reviews.
Yeah. Last audio review. This is the ever so jovial Jay Kent.
I was hell-bent on loving this episode, and I was not disappointed. It wasn't the crash, bang, wallop, Gallifrey, boom, boom, Time Lords all over the place episodes I was expecting, but I adored it all the same. Where do I begin? Gallifrey looked beautiful, the Doctor was amazing, the use of Clara's theme on the guitar was executed brilliantly, the classic TARDIS looked stunning, the beginning with the Doctor being all hardcore to Rassilon and all the Time Lords turning against him was brilliant, and, dare I say it, I think Maisie Williams had her best performance in this. Not too keen that Clara got to be saved because she's a special snowflake in the Doctor's heart or whatever. The new sonic screwdriver looks like it's been plucked directly out of the Space and Summers catalogue. The spinny space cafe was meh, and they didn't keep the new TARDIS interior that was all classically. But overall, Series 9 has probably been my most favourite series of the renewal. I give this episode a strong 9.5 out of 10. What an absolute belter. I'll see you at Christmas, guys, which looks interesting.
Cheers, Jay.
Certainly does.
Thank you very much for sending in your audio clips and your thoughts over on Facebook. Did we have anything on the ever so awesome Geeks Handbag Facebook page?
We did, actually. You'd love this first one. You know how bad we are at pronouncing names.
Oh, no.
You would love this. So the first one is from Michaela Ella Hilzensaucer.
Cool.
Which won't be wrong. It won't be right, I mean. Anyway, she says, I really liked it. Could be, yeah, okay. I really liked it, but there were a lot of plot twists. Let's see what happens next season. Well, yeah, but when will that be, Michaela? Oliver Brooks, pretty fun episode, and I really enjoyed it, though. Does this mean that Gallifrey is permanently back, or is it still being hidden at the end of the universe and Moffat trolling people about the Doctor being half human? Yes, I know. Though it does kind of cheapen Clara's death that she can still go off with me / Ashilda having dinner-based adventures. I love that, dinner-based adventures. Also, I'm off to buy another sonic screwdriver. Yeah, brilliant. Cheers, Oliver.
Cool.
Simon Clark said, I couldn't take to Peter as the Doctor, but watching tonight, I am sold on him. Tonight, for me, he really became the Doctor. Nice to see Clara and me going off into the sunset. Hopefully, Big Finish are already coming up with storylines for them. Yes. Alex Penfold says, amazing. One of the very best Doctor Who stories of them all. And as a devoted fan from years before the new series began, I don't say that at all lightly. So yeah, Alex really enjoyed it.
Cheers, Alex.
George Spencer, one epic series final for Doctor Who Series 9. Though I hate Moffat for deleting Clara from his memory, but I like the fact that she is off on her own adventures in her own TARDIS. Was a brilliant story. Well done, Moffat. Okay. Jace Howe says, I loved it for the original TARDIS interior alone. It looked so good. Oh, didn't it just? Finn Walsh, wow, it was a good episode, good directing, good script, but damn, it's hard to believe Jenna has left Doctor Who completely, but great performance from her. He'd give it an A-.
An A-, okay, respectable.
Yep. We don't, yeah. Sorry, that caught me off guard. Maybe we should start scoring. Jonathan Miguric, I really enjoyed the episode. It had a grand sense of scale, and even though it disjoints the past 2 episodes slightly, you can't deny that the episode was an experience.
Okay.
Yes. Adam Time Lord Fishwick, really enjoyed this episode and this series. That's cool. Martin from Bad Wolf, did he comment on... He hasn't commented yet, has he?
I think he commented on Twitter.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, he says he thinks he liked it, couldn't hear it over his kids, so he needs to watch it and report back. So we don't know. We'll assume he liked it.
Yeah.
And 2 more. Finally, Matt Wells says, I'll tell you when I finish crying. Oh, dear.
Oh, dear.
And John, we assume it's over Clara, not the storyline. And John Gernhill simply says, rubbish.
Just one word.
Just one word. Short and sweet.
Yeah.
So there we go. So but yeah, a bit of a mixed bag. I think most people were just a little bit miffed by Clara coming back. Really, I think it should have been done sort of a story before, so that we could have had an epic Gallifrey final. Myself, that's what I would.
Yes, yeah, I agree. I think another mixed bag, which seems to be par for the course.
Yeah.
For Series 9, where we have loads of people loving it, and then the other end of the scale, down the bottom, completely hating it. So, but yeah, potentially good times ahead though. If we can get through a decent Christmas special, it should be a good next series.
You think of that trailer actually, because we got not one but two Christmas special trailers bang after each other after the episode, didn't we? So, what did you think? It looks like they're going for light-hearted. Don't know. I just don't know what we're in for. I really don't.
The next two Christmas special trailers, yeah, they look.
Because they played one at the end of the credits, and then straight away after that they played another one, a different one, didn't they?
Yeah, it was a bit weird. Yeah, I'm still very much undecided on that one. I think it could be. I think they could pull it out the bag, and it could be great, but I don't know. Just a large part of me thinks it's going to be dreadful, and I hate feeling like that. But I just got a feeling about it.
I'll tell you what I would like to see in Series 10, or I'd like to see less of, actually. I know we've said about the sonic shades being overused and all that sort of thing. I would like to see less of the Doctor playing the guitar. As much as I liked it every now and again, and I think it worked well in him playing it in the diner, I do think it's been overused in Series 9. I think it's almost been in every episode he's got that blimmin' guitar out.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if for Series 10... that's just one thing I'd like to see a bit is that guitar playing myself.
That's fair enough.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to Christmas special. I think it's going to be bonkers by the look of it. I do think it looks borderline terrible, but it also looks like it might be fun. So I'm going to go into it open mind, and it's only a couple of weeks away. So
yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, interesting times. So now that Doctor Who has finished. Until the Christmas special, we've got 2 weeks.
When we're going to take a holiday, aren't we?
We're going to take a holiday. So what are we going to do?
We're off to Hawaii for 2 weeks. So
yeah. So have a good Christmas, and we'll see you in Jan.
No. I think we could do that. We could go to Hawaii, or we could review something you've wanted to do for quite a while.
Yes.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think we should do with option 2.
All right then.
Yeah. So. Buddy, what are we going to be reviewing for the next couple of weeks?
Right, so Gary has always wanted to chew the fat with me over The End of Time.
Yes.
Which is a story, I must admit, I haven't watched The End of Time for quite some time. So I'm bang up for this. So next week we're going to be doing The End of Time Part 1. The following week, The End of Time Part 2. So yeah, you've been looking forward to chewing the fat on me over The End of Time for a while now, haven't you?
I have, yes.
So we're finally going to do it. Next week, The End of Time Part 1. Following week, Part 2. And then we'll do the Christmas special after we've watched that. So yeah.
Yeah. We'll probably do on End of Time Part 2, that episode, which will go out on Christmas Day, which will be a nice present for you guys in the morning. We'll probably do like an end of year review as well. We'll throw some of our favourite bits of the year and some other bits and pieces. So, yeah, so we're going back to Tennant the next couple of weeks. And long-time listeners of the podcast will know that I spoke about this way back in episode 8.
Wow.
And I can't even remember when that was, when the date was. It must have been, long time ago.
But way anyway, before I joined, yeah.
Yeah. So it was, I think it was... Yeah, it was way before you joined. Yeah,
and I would have listened to it as well, but I obviously it was so long ago I can't remember your thoughts on it, which is good. As well.
Yeah, it was just me waffling by myself. It was back in. I know when it was actually. It was back in July 2014.
Oh, there you go.
A year and a half ago. Roughly.
Time flies.
It does indeed. So that's the next 2 weeks sorted out. The End of Time, parts 1 and 2.
Yeah, we'll put the picture up. Give us your thoughts on part 1 first, obviously, and then following week, part 2.
Cool. And I think we'll wrap the show there, mate.
Okay.
So that's episode 68. Thank you very much. It's been, it's been an interesting one to go through and review, this one.
Yeah, finals always are, aren't they?
They are indeed. And so 7.5 for you, 7 for me. I think that's a fair score. But I can totally appreciate why a lot of people are not a huge fan of it, however. Yes, and then the next couple of weeks, I'm so excited to be doing End of Time, because that's one that really is a Marmite story.
Yeah.
So many people despise it and so many people love it. It's their favourite, so really looking forward to that. Right, trivia. Last week we asked you, there's a price on Captain Jack's head in how many solar systems? None of you got it right, so you need to go back and rewatch some of the Captain Jack stuff, but the answer was 2.5 solar systems. This week, got a question about the Paternoster gang, seeing as I'm into that stuff at the minute after listening to that Cool Big Finish story. So, what is the Paternoster gang's address? Nice and easy.
Yeah.
What is the Paternoster gang's address? Send us your answer on Twitter. In case you wanted a Strax version.
Yeah.
So just send us your answer on Twitter or Facebook, and we'll read the winners out next week. Yeah, so just one more time. What is the Paternoster gang's address? You should be able to find that out relatively easy, I'm hoping.
Yeah,
yes.
Fairly easy.
Yes. So thank you one more time for sending in your reviews and thoughts on Hellbent, and we definitely look forward to hearing your thoughts on The End of Time. Look out for the Facebook post to put your thoughts on that, and of course send in your audio clips, but please try and keep them to around a minute long maximum. That would be awesome. Also remember to check out Adam's channel on Facebook and YouTube, The Geek's Handbag. Loads and loads of cool videos on there. And if you haven't checked out the Money Box, the TARDIS Money Box video, you need to go and watch that, because it's just awesome.
Yeah, it was fun to do. And do you know what? It's come down in price.
Oh, wow.
It's only $6.99 now, which is a bargain.
Whoa.
Go and ask Santa one for your stocking.
Yeah, go on.
It's a perfect stocking filler, that.
Yeah, very cool. Right, I'm off to watch some Classic Who. Until next week, I'm Gary.
I'm Adam.
And remember...